Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. I had a bit difficulties with my internet connection at home. The server of my provider broke down. So yeah, I hope it will work. And I see we have 10 visitors yet. So maybe let's wait 1 or 2 more minutes. And I'll start with a quick overview of label work. And would open up for Q&A rather soon so that hopefully you can ask all the questions you have. And yes, again, please excuse any probably delays between video and sound. So hopefully at least the sound will work properly. And don't worry about me being on the screen. So we are 30 already, okay. And yes, I hope English is fine for everyone. And of course, if you can also post questions in German and I'll try to answer them in English. Okay, so let's start because it's quite difficult for me. I mean, ideally I would have done this workshop in person and see all of you, but we know why not. And also, I don't know your background, so I don't know what kind of knowledge you guys already have. So I thought I'd just give a really rough overview of what a label actually does and what might be the main points you want to take a closer look at. And anything you feel I left out or you want to dig deeper into, just post it as a question and then we'll take it from there. So just when you start from the beginning and you might think about setting up a label but haven't done yet, and you want to run it out of Germany, there's some legal things you have to take into account. So like what kind of company you want to set up as a legal entity. You need a tax consultant. You have to deal with GEMA, like the German Collecting Society. You might need a tax consultant. You might need a website. You want to maybe set up a web shop. Socials like profiles on the social networks. Those kind of things. So it's if you haven't set up a label, it's good to get some business advice because as fun as running a label is, it's a business. So you have to know how to run a business, even with finances or especially with finances and all the things around it legally. Then the legal side, the contracts. This is something I think a lot of rather small labels don't really deal with, but it's really important, especially between artists and the label. So you have to have a clear picture of what kind of contract you want to have with the artist, like what kind of split between the revenues and also for how long you will get the master rights, because what you do as a label is you license the master rights of the artist. And you have to have a clear understanding of for how long. Because I think a lot of artists have their rights with the label and they don't even know for how long. So this is something that should be clear from the very first day between the label and the artist. Like how long do we really gonna work together? Then distribution, it's like the main partner for a label, and it's split between physical and digital distribution. Some distributors offer both. They offer physical and digital distribution. So physical is, as I said, I don't know how much you already know. Physical would be any audio carrier, like CD, LP, vinyl, DVD, tape. Digital is everything digital, obviously. So like streaming, download, video. And you have to ask yourself, how do you want to work? Like, do you want to have a strong partner with a worldwide network, or is your music maybe with German language and you don't really need the international market, or it doesn't make that much sense? So you want to rather pick a partner that is strong in the German territory. And for digital, for instance, like what kind of service do they offer? Do they really help with marketing campaigns? Or do they deal with YouTube as well? Can they help with like advancing your profiles? Do they really give advice, or do they just distribute? Which could be a good deal for you as well, because usually services who don't really work actively on your catalog, they take lesser percentage. So this is something you can consider and see what works best for you. Physical, you have to deal with a lot of administrative stuff. So you need barcodes for the LPs or CDs. So you have to find a way to either get them yourself by signing to a company who provides it, or your distributor will provide it. Then for physical, it's also important what kind of network the distribution has. So what stores do they really deliver to in each territory? If it's not just in Germany, but even in Germany, like, do they deliver to the stores you really care about? And does it even make sense to have a physical distributor? Or do you really maybe just want to sell yourself via Bandcamp or your own web shop? And by that, keep the share that the distribution would usually take off your sales. Because this is something you have to calculate when you do your finances, that both physical and digital distribution will take a share of your sales. What other income sources are there? So we have distribution, who deals with all the sales. Then there is neighboring rights, which is was kind of neglected in the past years, but now it seems to come into like on the surface, so that more artists and labels know about it. So there are actually agencies who offer to collect all the neighboring rights worldwide for you, and you can easily sign with them, and then they take a percentage of your revenues. So that's really easy. Then publishing, you could think about setting up your own publishing and get revenues from there as well, and talk to the artist and see if they don't have a publisher, if they want to sign to you. And then the advantage is that you have both rights, the publishing rights and the master rights, in one hand. And let's say if there's a sync deal, like a licensing request from like a movie company or for some commercials, like every time a moving image is connected with sound, you would get revenues from both rights, from the master right and the publishing rights. So this could be an advantage. And the sync deals are usually another source of income for labels. If you have an artist who's really strong and well established and the music is very suitable for movies or commercials, then this could be a nice revenue income for you as a label. Then, as I said, there's a lot of administration. So make sure you have a real structure, and depending on how many people work with you or for you, that you really know who's in charge of what, because I know, like, especially in independent label structures, it can get pretty messy. So really sit down and have like a plan, who does what and who's in charge of what, and think about tools that might help you with the administrative nightmare, like label software for statements. There's some really nice tools out there and softwares. Accounting software or tables. If you can't afford a tax consultant, there are tools that are really helpful and easy. Also project management tools that you can use that are online, where you can really have different tasks and push them to the person in charge and see what's going on and have a proper archive so that everyone knows where to find things, like either your own server or Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that. So that even if people leave, that the knowledge doesn't, so that you as a label owner always know what's going on and where to find things. Another important thing is the network. So you should try to really build a strong network around your label by, for instance, working with other labels, exchanging ideas, problems. Unfortunately not right now, but usually I would suggest to go to festivals, to conferences, talk to people, see how other people do things, because there's always not just one way to deal with things and problems and artists in music, and it's always nice to hear other opinions. And there are a lot of communities out there, and things like VOT, Music Pool, Music Commission, Club Commission, like organizations and institutions you can connect with and give advice or just share knowledge and ideas. And the same for international, like all the things we have here in Germany, they exist in the other territories as well. And if you work internationally, it's always good to connect with people who do kind of the same thing you do. Then I think what's really important as well is to establish your label as a brand, because you're a business and you want people to remember you and follow you on the socials and know exactly what you are, and ideally listen to every release you have just because you are this cool label with this certain reputation. And it doesn't really have to be that you have just one niche or one genre of music. So let's say I'm a pure punk label, and if I release something, it's pure punk. I think it can be any music, but you as a label, you have to stand for something. You have to have a strong corporate identity in a way, so that people know what to expect. And for me personally, as a music consumer, like if I follow labels, I do because I know when I listen to it, it represents something, either a certain quality or some kind of special thing I'm really into. And I think it's really important to do that because there's so much music out there, and you really have to make sure that you are special and have something that other labels don't. Yeah, I mean, I already talked for 15 minutes. This is like a rough overview, and I would just open up for discussion now, and see if you have any questions. So this might look weird because I have to check the comment section. Let's see. Okay, there's one question. Does GEMA do the same function than PPL in UK? Yes, it's the same thing. Like in all countries, you have a collecting society. What are your thoughts on self-release? What would be the steps to take there? Yes, this is always something a lot of artists ask, and there is no right and wrong, really. I mean, if you are a well-established artist and you already have a fan base, and you have a proper setup yourself, then just go for a self-release. Because I mean, the definite positive thing is that you will get all the revenues without having to share with distribution. But if I wouldn't recommend it to an artist who doesn't have management or some help, because it's a lot of work. Like I said, just the administration is so much. And usually artists, I mean, of course, there are artists who are very organized and not just like pure chaos creatively, but it's just a lot of time. And if you're an artist, you might not want to spend all the time on label stuff. So if you have someone who could help you, sure. I mean, the advantage of a label is that if you sign with a label, that A, you get the help, and B, you get a network. You get other artists, and you get the reputation of the label already. So you don't start from zero, but you have the back catalog of the label kind of helping you. And you get the following of the label to kind of automatically listen to your new music, which if you are just a newcomer artist, you have to build that up, which could take a long time. So there's no right and wrong. It really depends on your individual situation and standing as an artist. No questions? So, oh God, this guys, please don't try to really write such long messages. Label engine. This one. Distribute. I guess this question is about a direct distribution between artist and digital distribution. If it's not, sorry, then I didn't get the question, but just answer the one I thought it is. So yes, as an artist, you can sign directly with a distributor. And it's usually a good deal, but you don't get any support. So usually there's no marketing push behind it. You have to upload everything yourself. You have to make sure that everything is there, like artwork and info and metadata and the ESRC codes and the barcodes and all the admin stuff I just talked about. So you have to deal with that on your own, which usually a label would do for you. But I mean, I released my own music a while ago, and I did that kind of a deal because I didn't want to have a huge buzz around it. I just wanted to release it and have it online. So this works totally fine if that's what you want. Then, Antonio, when you say establish the label as a business, do you mean registering officially? Yes, this is what I mean, because you run a business. And if you run a business, you have to pay taxes and you have to have a proper accounting. So I know that there are artists who have their own label and they do it under their own persona, even for tax authorities. But if you have a lot of releases, then it can get messy, and the tax authorities, like the Finanzamt, might want to sneak into your books, which you probably won't have then. So yes, you run a business, you sell things. So you have to officially register it. What kind of statement would you recommend? Really depends. I mean, there's a label software called Details. It was formerly GoDisco. It's really good because it covers a lot of different things. Like you could implement your own web shop. You can run everything that's related to the label, like all distribution statements. You can issue artist statements. You can issue ISRC codes. You can run your booking through that, so for live. So it offers a lot of different sections you can use. I think, yes, you have to pay a license per user, and it's, I mean, not expensive, but it's more expensive than other tools because it's really meant for businesses with more than just one person using it. Then there's one, it's called Merlino, MERLINO, which is an online tool. It's more basic, so you don't have as many functions, but it's totally fine if you just want to import statements from distribution and issue artist statements. Those are the ones that are just now on the back of my head, but if you research that, I'm sure there are more. What is the best, Saralena? Hey. What is the best approach to push your digital publisher to pitch to DSPs? That usually publishers don't push to DSPs. Like DSPs don't deal with publishers. They actually only want to deal with the digital distributor. Sometimes they prefer to work with management directly. But then, you have to imagine that, like, let's say the key account manager at Spotify, or the one who's in charge for Spotify Germany for all the labels, or at least for part, he probably gets like 500 emails a day, and he gets them from the label. He might get them from management. He will definitely get them from distribution, and it might just be for one artist. So for one artist, he already gets mails from 3 different parties, and it's a nightmare, of course. And publisher, they deal with publishing rights, yes, and they profit from sales by, the kind of fame growing, but they don't really usually deal with the DSPs like Spotify. So with Spotify, it's for you as a label, it's better to have a very good relationship with your distributor, because they are the ones who pitch. And if you, as an artist, pitch directly, you can only pitch via the form Spotify has. But then there's Apple as well, and Deezer and Pandora, and all the streaming services. So this is kind of the main thing, a distributor for you. What is your favorite metadata management tool? I work with sales, and there you can actually, if you put in all the info of a release, you can easily create a metadata sheet. It's just one click. Do you use a formula to calculate the end user costs of a physical product? From your experience, what's the best and cheapest way to send to customers? Okay, now I see what you mean. If you work with physical distribution, then you have to discuss this with the distributors. So you say, okay, usually the discussions go like this. You say the vinyl you want to have in the stores for like 20 euro. And then the distributor will calculate, okay, if it's 20 euro, then we as distribution have to sell it to the stores for like 14 euros, because the store have to make a profit. Then we as a distributor get 14 euros, but we need a profit too. So we will keep another 4 euros, and then the label will get a payback of 10 euros. I just made the numbers up. It's not real, but they're like set percentages of all those prices. It's usually percentage. But that's why the labels get so little of the money that the customer pays, because they're all those people in between. And then you as a label get, let's say, the 10 euros, and then you sit it with the artist, and ideally it's a 50-50 deal. So it's like 5 euro for the label, 5 for the artist. But then, of course, you have to recoup all the costs. So that's why physical, if you don't sell much, you might end up with not recouping all the manufacturing costs. How would you make backdated contracts? I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Robert. Like you want to date the contracts back? I don't know. Didn't get the, maybe you can specify. Alexandre, how much do you think marketing is responsible to make a record really successful? Would you feel comfortable and give an idea what budget is needed to make a small impact marketing-wise? Yes, marketing is, it always does at least something. It just depends what kind of marketing you're talking about. If you talk about online marketing, let's say Facebook ads, yes, because we all know that Facebook doesn't really work unless you put a lot of money in it. And you can, which is a good thing in Facebook with the business manager, that you can really target the audience you want to reach, and even like new people you don't know your page or you as an artist or label. So this always pays off. And also, if you have a video and you do Google ads, this really helps. I mean, I don't know the ratio now by heart, but you know, you can pretty much buy views on YouTube. And unfortunately, it's really important how many clicks a video has, how many followers you have on the socials as an artist, because people will check, like a booking agent and the promoters for live, they will check the numbers. So you kind of have to invest in it. And if you're lucky, you have a very good organic reach. But I don't really know anyone who doesn't at least once in a while invest money in their social media accounts and on YouTube videos. Then also marketing still works for things like posters. You know, if you have a show or release, like putting up posters throughout town, just the old school marketing in a way, that can pay off as well. It's just more expensive. And you can do Spotify ads. This could help as well. So yes, in general, marketing is necessary, but could also be done with a small budget, but then you have to invest more in like really creative ideas. So if you only have a couple of €100 for, let's say, pushing your release on the release date on the socials only, then you should have very good assets, like a strong video or even a teaser, or really nice artwork, or something creative that will catch the attention of people. Yes, how much money are we talking? Yes, as I said, I mean, sometimes I work on releases, total budget of €500. This is all I got, and I split it into parts and then use it like Facebook, Instagram, maybe some extra artwork I could use. So you don't really need a lot of money, and you can also just try to push it into other networks. That's why it's important to really build a strong network around you, because then maybe another label or another artist can post about your release, so that it gets to other communities. Okay, then one clarification. I don't have contracts with artists and their releases, mostly handshake agreements. I see now. Then yes, you should backdate contracts. You set up a simple contract, just like who are the contract parties, what kind of deal you want to do, when did the deal start, and for how long should it run. And of course, you can backdate because it's a contract, and if both parties agree and sign, then it's done, and it can even be set up now for starting in 2010. It doesn't matter. What are the best label models you've seen so far of artists? Where do you think this is going in the day of streaming? Their current deals offering 30/70 cut. I mean, I personally think anything that's worse than 50/50 is not fair to the artist. I think the 50/50 deal is the most fair one, because if there's profit, you share it equally, and you also equally share the costs. Because a 50/50 deal means that the label advances all costs, but first recoups all the costs, 50/50, and then shares what's left, profit 50/50 with the artist. And I think this is really fair. Unless, you know, let's say the deal is 30/70 in favor to the label, and you as an artist only get 30%. This only makes sense to me if the label really invests a lot of money and doesn't put the costs onto the artist's revenues. So if they really invest something that they want to subtract from the profit. But yeah, 50-50, this is what I think is fair. Could you please write us with the names of the softwares? Ah, yes. So it's Details. Software. I think it's called Melino. This is the one for online. The online software where you can just open a browser. I mean, Details is also online, but the Melino is the more simple one. And then there are other ones which I don't know by heart now, and I haven't really seen. Oh, and one other thing I just occurred to me: when you work with a digital distributor, but even with a physical, what I think is really important is that they have a proper reporting tool. Because if you work on a campaign, you want to have like actual numbers, like on a daily basis. Like I want to log into some tool now and want to see how many streams does my release have on Apple, on Spotify, on Deezer, whatever, how many downloads on BPitch, YouTube. And there are some distributors who are very good setup and a very backend where you can just log in, you see all your release, you see all the data, it's like daily updated, and some distributors don't have that, and it's really hard to then especially run on marketing campaigns because you don't really know, did it do something or not? Because if you put money on a post with a link to, let's say, Spotify, you can't follow up on the campaign do anything. Did the Spotify place go or not? Did I invest in the way or not? So if you don't have a digital distributor yet and think of it, then this is something I'd recommend looking into, besides how good their service is, because this is really important to have access to the data. Because in the digital area and days we are in now, it's all about the data. Let's see other questions. I hope the quality is still okay, but I didn't read any complaints. So I think what are questions so far? So please ask me more. We still have. And let's see, didn't I talk about? I mean, we could talk about Corona. I don't know. I'm kind of already fed up with the discussion, but I guess we have to deal with it. The situation we're in now is that as a label, you are probably not as affected by it as, let's say, the live sector, because the live sector went down completely worldwide, and nobody really knows when it will pick up again. So for artists, it's a really, really tough time right now. And the only money you can rely on now are revenues from the labels. So I think now is a good time for all labels to support the artists and come with some ideas, like do a best of compilation or do playlists or like anything that could help your artist get some money in and get them back into the game, basically. And people are still streaming as much as they did before, if not even more. So this is something you can take advantage of as a label, See, talk to your artists, see if they have unreleased material could use either for a mix that you could release, or like a EP, even if it's just digital. Because with physical, I mean, store here in Berlin, stores just opened again, but in other countries it's not the case yet. So, and distribution is slowed down well because of distributing and getting. So I think the focus is more on digital for now. I think as a label, you should try to help the artists get through this period right now, see how you could help each other. And I don't mean by giving music away for free. I mean, this is a nice gesture, and I am definitely not against it, but also try to somehow monetize what you got as input from the artists, because they really need the support, and you as a label probably will face a drop of sale of physical. So you need to think about other options, and nobody knows if physical will go back to the same level it used to be. So I think it's a really good time to rethink your digital strategy and see what you could improve, basically. What was the name of the metadata software? This is details, like you just do every details. I don't know of any other software, and Melino does the same. Do you have your own market, or do you hire PR agencies or companies? It depends. I mean, when I used to work for Monkey Town, there were different options. Like there was one in-house PR person, but for bigger releases, they usually hired a PR agency for the UK, and one for Germany, and one for the US, because they are all different markets. And if it's online marketing, I mean, this is so complicated. You have to have the knowledge. I mean, I guess if you try to get into it, you place your own Facebook ads. But if you really want to run a proper campaign, like on all the socials and Google Ads, I think you have to have a special knowledge, and probably should think about hiring someone to do that, or you get into it and do stuff. Me personally, I never had the time to do that, and just didn't have the knowledge. And the same, if you have a small budget with PR, it's always a tricky question, because, you know, what do you invest in a PR agent who deals with print and online press, or do you use the money to invest in online marketing? It's always a tough question, and I think it also depends on the artist and the music. If it's more like, you know, very niche, then, and very newcomer, then probably media won't pick it up as easily, so not get a lot of features, or even none, and you still have to pay the PR agent. But if you take the same money and invest it in online marketing, first you have more control over what you do, and you probably have better results. And the thing is with online marketing, which is the thing you can see what, and you can kind of follow through and see the results. With like old school PR, yes, there's, let's say, even a feature or an interview on fact, but you don't know how many people read it, and then even if you did, you don't know how many people clicked on your album on Apple Music or bought vinyl at your record store. So this is always hard to follow up on and see what your money actually did. But if you have a very big artist or like a bigger release, then I think those kind of old methods still do the job, because you reach more and other people, because everyone is constantly on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, but drives a car and sees the big poster. That's somewhere in the city, or like reads a paper magazine, or I don't know, reads online blogs, music blogs. So if you do have money, you can invest. I would do both. Would you recommend Zefdesk as a tax app for small indie label? Von Robert. I know this one. With labels, the accounting I did was Details, the label software I was talking about. Me as a freelancer, I use Wave. This is on pretty easy online accounting where you create invoices, you can scan bills, and you can kind of see your profit calculation. And then there is a German guy who does Excel tables really well. And this is what I personally use my own accounting, because I have to pay VAT and I have to do my income tax and all of that. This is, it's really, really cool and easy to handle. And I can post it down. I think he's Herr Unger. This is the guy with the Excel tables. And the others is called accounting. Those tools used as a freelancer, but use it as a very small business as well. What else? Should you hold back the release of a newcomer right now because they can't tour? I mean, if it's a newcomer, then I doubt there will be a tour, because promoters won't book him or her or them, because they need a release in order to get. So if it's really a newcomer, then I definitely release right now, because now people really listen to a lot of music and don't go out as much. And a tour wouldn't be that helpful, but it wouldn't have the same impact as for an established band. But yes, ideally combine a release and touring, but usually with newcomers is that the promoters book the band or the musician. They check the streaming numbers and the numbers, and if there's nothing there or it's very little, then it's really hard to get a show. So I think it could make sense to first release and build the artist, and then go on tour and show the promoters, see, this is the reviews we got, those are the numbers, and we have an audience out there, so you can be sure that your venue will be full, because we just had buzz around our release. And regarding signing contracts, are there any invisible details from experience that some did not miss? This is from Anya. I don't know which contract you're talking about between, I just now assume label artist. Then yes, you always check kind of hidden costs, because sometimes, it might say in number 2, the split is 50-50, but under number 10, it says, but those costs will be put fully on the artist, and those costs will be the artists, and we don't do this. And so this is something, and also the rights, like when you would get the rights back, and what kind of responsibility you might have as an artist. You have like deadlines and options, like there could be a clause in there that says, delivering album A, you have to deliver album B within a year, which for some might be really, really hard, because they are low creating new work, and then you should have a contract, because it puts a lot of pressure on you. Yeah, and if you meant other contracts, then please specify, because I don't know. What do you think about MPN promotion for experimental electronic music? From Donna. I don't know MPN. I assume it's a PR agency, but I don't. Sorry. Ari, what are thoughts on physical distribution in the coming year, upcoming 18 months, in relation to the process of self-release? I mean, if you already have a setup with a distributor, you can't get out of it anyway. Like, you have a contract and you have a period and you have to deliver through them. And if you don't have a distribution setup yet, I would try to definitely set up a Bandcamp account, because it's the easiest way to deliver both digital and physical. Because your own web shop could create your own web shop, but you have to have the budget for like the code of the web shop. And yeah, I mean, for Bandcamp, you know, everything is there. You still have to deal with the fulfillment and the accounting. This is, you have to think about if you can really do it on your own. Can you do all the shipping? Can you do all the accounting? Because, as I said earlier, you have to have a proper accounting. You're a business, you sell things. Or you just say, you know, I have a more rather niche or more experimental or artsy release, then maybe just do like 50 or 100 copies with a really nice art, and rather sell it for a higher price and less, like a very limited edition, and sell it on your own. The rest you do digitally. Or what I did for Noton, I have a notice label I work for at the moment. We did a exclusive edition just for their web shop. So this could be an option too. So this didn't go through physical distribution, but this was a direct deal between label and the kind of online record store. And this thing you could also do, or you could go to the record stores in your town and distribute there. I also, for one of the labels I worked for, had deals with like 12 record stores, right? Like in each main territory, 1 or 2, and shipped everything directly. This could work as well. But then I think it probably only makes sense if you have kind of established artists and there's a demand and the stores really want to get it. Because it's also profitable for the stores, because they can make more money too. And you can, because the distribution is off the table and you can just share between label and store. So this could make sense. I see MPN is the net radio promotion. Okay, I've never worked with it. I mean, the thing with radio, this is also usually a question that comes up. Should I hire a radio PR? Some PR agents, not so much but in France and Germany, they do like online press and radio. So they have a network of radio stations and blogs and journalists for an online media. That's ideal, because then you can just hire one person who does everything. In the UK, you usually have to hire someone for radio, but then there's really depends on the music. If your music is rather niche, then chances that it will get played in the national radio stations is really low anyways. So you could try to get the contacts for more niche or underground radio stations, send your music directly, like the label through the radio station, and just invest your time in creating your own lists of contacts for radio and even press and blogs, and just do mail on your own. Donna, sorry, you mean Phononet. Phononet actually is something that this does, as far as I know. Like, I've never directly sent anything net, but I know that if you work with a distributor, then they list. In my experience, the distributor always did it, and yes, it's definitely an advantage, I think, also for the stores, because then the stores can see what releases or what releases there are in the pipeline, can already order and see what's going on. Would you recommend splitting a label into sub-labels for specific sounds? Yes. It depends. I mean, if you have a label, for instance, like Monkey Town Records, let's say, I used to work for, they have a very broad range of artists, from like very experimental, rather poppy, to more, to very tech, and it works as a brand because you know that this label stands for this range of music. But if you already focused on a specific genre, let's say house, and then you want to release a drum and bass record, this might disturb your, and then I would really recommend a sub-label, just because you know the label stands for that kind of music, this label stands for that kind of music. Could you recommend a European physical distributor? I assume for physical. I mean, I work with Rough Trade, which is part of Good to Go. They're based in Germany. Then I work with Sound. They are based in Hamburg. Both of them, they work with sub-distributors worldwide. So they have a sub-distributor in, let's say, Italy and in France. And they're good. I mean, they're a good network. Usually distributions in that kind of size, they all have the same networks. So they deliver to the same stores. Then it's more a question like what kind of deal you have with them and what relationship and fees. But other than that, the difference is not that big, actually. Those are the two distributions I work with personally, but there are of course more out there. But about those, I can't really say. Maybe one last. What are your thoughts on doing a marketing campaign based on social media and spend your doing something more analog, which can be more rewarding and not make you so tired? Paco? Yes. This I tried to say earlier, that I think it's good to do both, like analog things and digital things, because especially now there's so much going on socials that I know that people are kind of getting tired, like don't want to see the million live stream of that art and not listen to this and that. They might enjoy like a, I don't know, like a guerrilla marketing campaign where you just spray something somewhere, or like a nice poster or movie or whatever. So I think the only thing though is that with analog, your reach is not as wide. Like if you would run a very cute lane with, let's say, stickers in Berlin, only the people in Berlin will see it. So usually, in my experience, when I do those kind of campaigns, they film it or take photos of it and then post it on the socials. So it ends up in the socials, but at least it's partly able. So I personally really like campaigns, and I think they do something, and they're a really nice addition. But I doubt you can neglect any digital platforms and social things. No one really, I mean, at least if you're a Radiohead, can, but if you're not, then I think you have to serve your fans through those channels. I think those were all questions. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, yeah, I hope I could put some input that can help you, and I really hope that we're back to the analog world sometime soon and can run those kind of workshops in person again. And thanks for Music Pool for having me. Always a pleasure. And yeah, take care. Stay healthy and good mood.